welcome to Property People. I'm here today with Joel White. Hi Joel.
Hi Sam, how you doing?
Very good, thank you. Thanks for joining us today on our maiden interview here at Property People.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so Joel's got a very interesting backstory, and is well respected within the property community. Famously a mortgage broker for investors and landlords specifically, as well as a property investor yourself.
Yeah.
And you also travel the country, the length and breadth, doing mortgage updates for a variety of quality property investor networking events.
Yes.
And originally from London,
Yeah.
but now you are living in Wales.
South Wales, yeah, that's correct.
South Wales. So you started out in London as a estate agent, if memory serves me well?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
Okay, so if you could start from the very beginning, and let us know about your property journey, where it began, how you got into it. And
so the very beginning, left school, joined the British Army. So I was there for a few years, where it taught me discipline and how to have a real focus on being successful. So that gave me good grounding, and I've taken that kind of training and discipline into kind of everything I've done since then. But when I was there, I did realise, okay, what can I do next? And I thought the next best thing was to be university. Get educated, so I decided to go to Cardiff University, studied down there. Whilst I was at Cardiff University, my friend Josh didn't like it, he dropped out, and when he dropped out, he basically became an estate agent. He got offered a job by a rugby friend in the rugby club, so he needed a job, they gave him an estate agent job, and I was living with him at the time, so he was coming home every day and moaning about it for 2 weeks. And I was like, tell me about it, what's so wrong? And he was like, they make me do viewings, they make me trying to get offers out of people, they give me targets, I have to speak to people on the phone.
Very salesy?
Very salesy. He didn't really like it.
Okay.
But when he was saying that, I was like, I actually quite like the sound of it. I like, I like meeting new people, I like seeing properties, I like getting deals done. So there was of interest there to me. So I started doing my research on estate agency and property, and I made a decision actually, being an estate agent was something for me. Right. And I was living in Cardiff, but I thought the best place to be would be central London, because I know London, and there's more money to be earned, there's bigger projects, etc. So I applied for 5 estate agencies, 4 of them said no. I had no sales experience, no property experience, I didn't know the locations exactly that I was kind of applying for roles in, and I had no real interview experience. I left school at 17, joined the army, so I never really had an interview. They're just like, join us. So I'd never had that process before. So the 5th estate agent, they were like, okay, you see, you don't have a clue, but you seem like you really want to do this.
Diamond in the rough, perhaps.
Yeah, potentially.
Was it an independent or was it a corporate?
Yeah, so this was an independent. They had 5 branches at the time, and there was like a 2-week training program, and there's like 4 of us, a couple of us got on to got given the job at the end of it. So I got started in as a sales negotiator, quickly progressed in that role there in West London, and then when I worked in their lettings department, and then eventually I got the opportunity to run a branch that was then for a corporate estate agent, so Sequence Group. And they've got hundreds of branches around the UK. This branch was underperforming, and basically I was only a negotiator at the time, and the area director said, you're doing well, you're quite ambitious, we've got this branch, would you like to run it for us? And I was like, absolutely, progression, how can we move forward?
Jump at the chance.
Yeah, jump at the chance, right? But I was like, why is no one else taking this opportunity? So I started looking at the figures for the last 4 years, and fundamentally they've been making a loss.
And what's the catch?
Yeah, like the business was like in turmoil. They're making a loss, like loads of complaints. I went down to visit the branch and the team down there. They had a bowl of keys and not a key book or nothing on the system. So they had 100 properties on it and 100 keys. One negotiator knew every key in that bowl for every property, and I was like, what is going on here?
And what year was this?
So this was back in 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, 2014. So yeah, there's a book called Turn My Ship Around, and it's basically about a fleet of ships in the Navy, and there's one ship that's underperforming, really run down, the staff aren't motivated, lack of morale, and they give it a private sailor basically to run that ship. so no other captain wanted to do it, and he did it, and he turned it around, and it was one of the best performing ships in that fleet, and he produced the most amount of the most amount of captains off that boat.
Wow.
Okay, so I read that, I was quite inspired, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. It's an opportunity.
Got nothing to lose, I guess.
What's the worst that can happen? You know, someone said to me, you know, you can't do any worse than what they're already doing. So I just turned up and I said, right, if we're going to do this, we're going to 100% commit to it. So just turned up early, stayed late, got rid of people that weren't, you know, didn't have the right attitude, weren't really there to kind of for the business, rang on people who were, and ultimately over a 12-month period, we turned it around, and it made it become a profitable business, and it still is today. And that was my journey in estate agency, and I really was proud of that. And again, we produced several branch managers from negotiators, so kids from JD Sports and other just like coffee shops and stuff. Not saying that that's bad business to work for, but like people weren't giving them an opportunity. They come in, and then we taught them how to kind of be in the property market, speak to vendors, landlords, and that.
Young talent.
Yeah, now they're doing flying in the industry. So it was great to be part of that company and be involved in that team. But ultimately, it was a team that made the branch successful. So so that's how that was my journey for estate agency. Yeah.
And that branch is still running right now? Still running
right now. They're doing very well. I think they are like one of the third most profitable branches in that area.
Which area of London?
We moved. So 2 years in London estate agency, and then we moved back to South Wales. So I got the opportunity then to run the branch.
Okay,
in South Wales.
I see. And from there, you decided to move into the finance part of the industry. So tell us about how that transition came about.
Yeah, so I loved property, I loved estate agency, a lot of first-time buyers, home movers. It's quite emotional, you know. It's their first property, home moving. You know, it's a big thing, and it's great to be part of that. But what I really liked dealing with was the landlords and investors and developers. You know, I remember there was one guy who used to turn up at 2:00 in the afternoon, most afternoons, to view properties, and I'm like, you know, are you on your lunch break, or are you, you know, how do you get all this time off? And he's like, oh no, I'm in property. I'm like, what do you mean you're in property? He's like, I'm a property investor, this is my job. I was like, that's really cool, like, tell me more about it. And you know, people like that took me under their wing a little bit, because obviously they've seen the benefits in having me on board where I could find them properties, but they could teach me a little bit about property investments and the benefits of having a portfolio or development. So that sparked an interest. So I bought, we own buy-to-lets, and when I bought my first buy-to-let, I was really excited, and you know, first deal or whatnot, and someone recommended a mortgage advisor. So this guy was really lovely, but old school, been in the game 40, 50 years, like in his 70s, still smashing out the mortgages. And I went to see him. He was smoking in his office, hair slicked back, just like, don't worry, leave it to me, boy. That's what he said. And I was like, okay, no problem. I've been recommended you. I'll use you. But in hindsight, I probably could have had a better product and a better service.
Oh, really?
Although he was lovely, there probably could have been a better deal put together. And I just thought, if I'm going to invest my own capital or potentially other people's money in property, then I want to understand everything, and finance and leverage is a big part of that.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, you know, I understand the estate agency and finding deals, and I understand how deals stack up. But more important, how do the numbers really work from the mortgage and the lender's point of view? How can we? Because people are talking about development finance, bridging finance, HMO finance, buy-to-let, limited company, and that was all new to me. So I really wanted to learn about that and be an expert in that field, especially if I'm investing my own capital. So the company I was working for at the time, they were training mortgage advisors. So I asked if I could be a mortgage advisor, which was alien to them, because within a branch, if you're the branch manager, you get paid on everything the branch does. So you'd have a mortgage advisor in the branch producing, and you get paid on that. But a mortgage advisor would only get paid on what they do. So they were saying, like, why would you want to do that? You're at the top of the tree in that field. But like, start with the end in mind. I had a long-term plan.
Right.
So being a branch manager wasn't the be-all and end-all for me. It was good because I went up to the ranks, but I had bigger goals then. So I just really pushed for it. And they said, okay, you seem like pretty determined to do this. So they trained me up. They did my qualifications for you.
Yeah. What qualifications do you have to go through to become a mortgage broker?
So there's the typical one is CMAP, which is equivalent like 3 exams.
Yeah.
Or you can do CF1, CF6, and we did CF1, CF6, which is equivalent of CMAP. Means you're a qualified residential mortgage advisor.
Right.
So did that, and then was placed as a residential mortgage advisor in one of the branches.
So these are for people coming to buy their first-time buyers, buying their home, moving up the property ladder, one property at a time.
Absolutely.
Straightforward residential stuff based on their earnings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you got like maybe the odd buy-to-let landlord, accidental landlord in there.
Okay.
And again, that was in a branch that was underperforming as well. Didn't have a good string of mortgage advisors. Got the opportunity to go in there. I was like, oh god, here we go again. But you know, really relished that in that kind of environment, and we've got the negotiators on board, and we put out the message that we are here to stay, and we're going to make a real difference.
So for the second time, very early on, you managed to take something and turn it around.
Yeah, that's it. So we were there for several months, and it was just hard work, you know, hard work and focus and a commitment to kind of getting results, and we did make a real difference there, and I was really, you know, I was really happy. But every time a buy-to-let landlord would come along, it's that this is who I want to deal with.
This is the kind of clientele that I want to be dealing with day in, day out.
Absolutely, you know. So, and then also when you work for work for someone like a corporate estate agent, you've only got a panel of lenders. So if someone did come along with, you know, a development deal or a HMO style deal, a bit more complex, then we didn't actually have the lenders to deal with that.
Right.
And I found that a bit frustrating because I wanted to help these people.
You wanted to help them, and then you're like, oh, I don't have the product, and how can I go?
Yeah, and I'd have to recommend them to someone else, and I'm like, okay, but why am I going to be that person? You know, why don't I, you know, it's good helping first-time buyers, home movers, but my passion was in the property investment field. So I got the opportunity to go into the commercial market as a mortgage advisor. Yeah. And I just took that at both hands. And it kind of, that's where it went from then. So I started doing like commercial deals, development, buy-to-let, HMOs, finance, and then started, you know, I was responsible for finding my own kind of contacts. So that's
generating your own leads, finding your own clients.
Yeah, and clients. So,
and you very much sounds like you're following your passion from one step to the next, and it was kind of developing organically, and you just set your heart on something and then went towards it, and it started to materialise.
Yeah, I think for me it's about just always progressing. You know, how can you be successful? How can you help others be successful? What's the next viable step? You know, you see some people jumping from ship to ship, but you know, with no real direction, and they end up ultimately in the same place. So it's just taking the skill set that I have and the lessons I've learned within kind of my career, and just improving on that step by step within kind of where I want to be.
That makes sense. And just to go back to something you said previously, which kind of took you on this journey, was that you bought your first buy-to-let. Yeah. Can you let us know a little bit how that came about?
Yeah, so like my father-in-law's a commercial developer, and he's been doing that for 30 years. And I said to him, you know, I want to be in development. You know, I've worked with loads of developers. And he said, chill out.
Calm down.
Go and, you know, go and buy some, go and cut your teeth.
Yeah.
So I was really looking for my first buy-to-let, and I found 4 properties that were potential deals, right? And we went to view this one, and it was things on the market for 70,000. We offered 60. It was a 2-bed terraced. And in the end, we kind of agreed at 61,000, and it rents for 450 a month, and it has done for the last few years. Like it's been fantastic. You know, I did everything wrong in terms of like the broker, the solicitors. I did all the work myself. You know, so I was working late and then like in my job, and then going to do the work in the evening. So no project management. You know, I was peeling wallpaper, and then you know when there's like 10 more layers, and you're like, oh, what am I doing? So yeah.
The builder. How did you pick the builder? Because I've been hearing a few stories, speaking to a few different investors. They do stuff far away, 150 miles away from where they live. Did you have a contact with a builder?
So with that one, we did literally everything ourselves. You know, so you know, my father-in-law's got a team of builders, so we had advice in certain areas. Right. But I was just so like, I can do this, and
rolled up your sleeves.
Rolled up my sleeves, and I 3 weeks in, I was absolutely knackered. And I was like, what am I doing? I never want to do this again. But it took like 3 months to find the first deal, but then like another probably 6 weeks to get it all rocking and rolling. But then after it's just done, and you think, and you see the income coming, and you're like, that's quite nice.
It's all worthwhile.
Where's the next one? You know,
okay.
So that's over in, and then we just kind of got a handful of buy-to-lets, and kind of just I've been more focused on the mortgages and that sort of thing. Yeah.
So having done your first buy-to-let, moved into finance side of the business. You've been famously traveling up and down the country, speaking to investors, landlords. You're extremely immersed in that side of the sector right now. and fantastic news. You've recently opened your own brokerage.
Yeah.
Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that.
Yeah.
So the thought process behind that, was it down to the fact that you've kind of turned around other people's businesses in the past, and you've always had that ambition when you were younger to do your own thing?
Yeah, I think I've always wanted to be independent and have my own company, but I also thought it's really important to have the experience in place to make the business a success. So having the opportunity to run these branches and companies that were underperforming and turn them around give me confidence that I could make it a success. I think it's really important. You hear people being called an overnight success, but actually there's normally years or months and months of hard work in the background. So I've always had that ambition, and I just wanted to make sure it was that goal, and I've always just wanted to make sure it's the right one for me, right business. Because before it's like, right, I'm going to do a estate agency, but something wasn't quite right. I didn't actually know if I wanted to do estate agency, my own company. So I was still looking for that next thing, and then when I fell into finance, I realised, I've got a real passion for this, and I get that contact where I work directly with the clients. So when I worked for the commercial company, travelling up and down the country, meeting these clients, I just said to the managing director, look, this is what I want to be doing long term. And he said, no problem while you're here, just support the business, do the best you can, and then we'll shake hands as part as friends when that time comes. So it was 6 months of kind of hard work of speaking to lenders, speaking to investors, setting all up the systems, speaking to the FCA, making sure we're fully regulated, and then when all my ducks were in a row, that's when we launched, basically. So,
absolutely, and it's called Ramsay White.
Yeah.
You've got your name above the door.
Yeah, Ramsay White Finance for Property Investors. So we're specifically focused on helping property investors finance their property deals. So from buy-to-lets, HMOs, developments, commercial loans, secured funding, and just helping them build momentum, and really taking kind of a real overview of their projects and making sure they're feasible, make sure the deal stacks up. It may be speed they want, and maybe want the best product. They might want to have a direct relationship with a lender, build a funding line with a lender. So it's just taking all that into account and finding out, putting them together. What's the best solution?
I think from my point of view, I dealt with many mortgage brokers over my time, and I think one of the big attractions that, we've known each other a couple of years now. And the big attraction was that you really have a good relationship with the lenders directly, some of the underwriters, decision makers, business development managers, and you've continued to build up those relationships with more and more lenders recently.
I think communication's key. So you tell me what you need, and I need to deliver. But I can't deliver unless I have the right contacts and the right products in place. So there's so many business strategies out there for investors, from service accommodation, holiday lets, HMOs, commercial valuations, etc. Who's offering these products to support that demand? It's my job to go and find that with the lenders and really be challenging the lenders, like, okay, you've told us you can do this, but actually, can you give us a better product, or can you meet this client's needs, or are we wasting our time? And then I can just be direct with you and hopefully find you the best product so we can move you forward on your property journey, as it were.
Yeah, I think having that kind of insight cuts a lot of the nightmare of who am I going to go with, am I going to get something. They can come straight to you, and you're going to have a lot of those answers before you even go to the lender.
Absolutely. As your advisor, it's my job to advise you accordingly and have that kind of knowledge to kind of speed up your process. Like, we see ourselves as part of your team, as it were. You've got a business, which is your property company, and if we help you fund your projects and keep your business going, ultimately Ramsay White's going to be successful. And that's what success is to me. Helping others be successful within their business will make our business successful, and I feel part of that. And that's why people ask me kind of what I'm doing in property at the moment. Well, actually, although I love property and I have a passion for it, right now I'm 100% on Ramsay White. I'm focused, I'm fully committed to the business because, give you an example, when I was younger I used to box, amateur boxing, I love it, but if I was training to do like a bout, an amateur boxing match, if I did 10 press-ups and the person I was competing against did 12, he deserves to win, right? If I run 2 miles and they run 5 miles, they deserve to win. So if I'm only working 90% on Ramsay White and 10% on property, then why would you use me when there's another broker who give you 100% commitment?
Absolutely.
So right now it's 100% on Ramsay White, helping our clients kind of fund their deals. In the future, when we've got more staff and it's systemised, then I'll get my passion back for property and we can go again.
Totally makes sense. Having a niche and a focus, you become a specialist.
Absolutely.
And you're serving investors in a time where there's a lot of pressure on investors, especially property investors. The government, new rules with Section 24, and then the increase in stamp duty. Some people might think you're crazy because a lot of landlords and investors are leaving the market. But I think if someone's got the finger on the pulse, it'll be definitely you as you travel around. People, in terms of inquiries, you'll be able to gauge as to what the appetite is. What have you found from the last 6 months of moving around the country, speaking to different people? Have you seen inquiries increase or decrease?
So I must see about 60 to 70 deals come across my desk a month.
A month?
Literally. Some very, very good. Some just very basic inquiries. I've seen this on Rightmove. What do you think? How would fund it? So I see a lot of deals, and I'd say 65 to 70% of them are HMO inquiries.
Right.
So we sponsor an event in London called the Square Mile Property Meet. This is specifically for property investors who are working within the city, so accountants, solicitors, pension fund analysts who have high incomes and they're trying to replace their income through HMOs. But I'm seeing that across the board, up and down the country, that people want to replace their income. And HMOs seem to be a good tool, good facility to do that. High cash flow. Just really sweating the assets. So I've seen more inquiries in that. Although there's a lot of changes in the HMO market
in terms of regulation,
mandatory licensing. People are still pushing forward into it, and I think the people that are exiting from the market maybe tired landlords who've been in the industry for 20 years, 30 years, and actually it was a lot different back then when they first started. So they made their money, they're not happy with the changes, and therefore they're just going to step back out of it. So that creates opportunity, and I think the clientele that we have and work with are ambitious property investors or aspiring landlords trying to build wealth through property, and there's strong motivation behind it. So they're building legacies for their children. They're replacing high incomes. There's so many things you can do within property. So I've seen more inquiries since then, and when we have the conversations with these investors, what do you think of Section 24? What do you think of the additional stamp duty? We just factor it into our deal process.
Because I agree with you from the conversations that I've had and going to the Square Mile Property Meet. You find that it's the next generation of property investors, and they're just factoring in all the changes into their calculations and making adjustments accordingly. But the appetite seems to be still there. And overall, the regulation, I don't know what your opinion is, but it's probably a good thing because the minimum standards are rising.
Absolutely.
So the consumer in the end, the tenants are getting a good deal out of it.
I think the clients we deal with are professional landlords. So they treat the property as a business. And if they don't bring a good product to market, then who's going to want to use that product, right? So it's amazing some of the deals that we're seeing and the level of detail that these investors are going to bring that product to market that's highly desirable. And that the regulations coming in just support that. If there's changes, people will just pivot, and they just make it work if they have a real commitment to success within that business.
I guess it's the professionalising of the industry, and hence there's an absolute space for a mortgage broker specialist such as yourself. But quick question, do you do any residential mortgages anymore?
Good question. So I am a qualified residential mortgage advisor, and we don't go looking for first time buyers, home movers. It's just we are specifically focusing on the investor market. Now an investor might say, look Joe, I'm remortgaging my residential or I'm moving house, and absolutely we'll help them.
You can still facilitate.
Of course. We're not tied to any one lender. We're regulated by the FCA. It's our job to find you the best product. So if you want to move, then I'm happy to have a conversation with people. So, but compared to kind of what we do a lot more kind of HMO development stuff. So going back to your question about inquiries, we get a lot of HMOs at the moment. I think there's opportunity for splitting blocks up into flats or houses into flats. We're getting quite a few inquiries there where people will still get the income as it was a HMO, but they don't have to pay the bills as it were. So I've seen people make that progression, and some clients looking at care homes at the moment as well. So we're speaking to certain funding lines that would have an appetite for that kind of lending.
And what about, I've been hearing it more and more on the circuit and in and around the media about short-term lets. A lot of buy-to-let lenders didn't really like that kind of thing, but there might be an increase in those kind of lenders, is that right?
So it's a good point. So service accommodation, Airbnb, is a really hot topic, right? So investors like the HMO trying to increase yield in their portfolio. How do we do that? Get a high cash flowing asset. So HMOs do that. Service accommodation also do that, right? You have one property, you rent it out multiple times in a month, 12-month period, you're increasing your cash flow into the business. Cash flow is good into the business. So investors are forward thinking, they're looking at these new strategies and new business models, they're on the pulse of it. However, a lot of lenders aren't caught up with that and aren't offering products to support it. So within the buy-to-let kind of market, you need to have a single AST when you're renting a property as on a buy-to-let basis. So you've seen some investors using a buy-to-let product to run it as service accommodation, Airbnb. That's seen as mortgage manipulation. That can get you into all sorts of trouble. So we've been speaking with lenders for the last 18 months about this kind of business model and how they can support it. Some have come on board, some they want to see how the market unfolds. The lenders we were dealing with offering kind of high rates around it, so you could do it correctly but you'd be paying a lot more. But one lender that's just come into the market is Foundation Home Loans. So they want to introduce a product that is for limited companies or individuals. It's for Airbnb short-term let style properties at 75% loan to value. The rates are around 2.5%. So really competitive. So it's really good news for investors looking in this market space.
I know quite a few investors, especially around let's say kind of London, and that they're not getting the yields that they used to. So short-term lets, if they're on corporate lets, if they can get them done, seem to be a lot more appealing. And finding the lenders for it now is a great move forward. But in terms of the north-south divide, do you see any difference between, because a lot of people are talking about Brexit, and they don't know about house values, so short-term kind of flipping deals might not be that profitable, so that's why people are focusing on HMOs, because it's long-term hold, it's a bit more secure. Do you find any difference between the north and the south of England in terms of inquiries?
So if it's kind of down south, we a lot of our clients who are based down south are investing up north for the higher yields.
Makes sense.
Down south we are still seeing inquiries, but it's more kind of short-term finance getting in and getting out. Not kind of central London, but more kind of further south.
Like the home counties.
Home counties. So I mean, even down where we are, the market's still very buoyant. It's very desirable. Like I said, I'm not actively in property, so I'm focusing on the business. But if I was, I'd be looking at flips at the moment, because I'm seeing properties down there move quickly. There's a real demand in that area. Across the country it's different, like London, obviously we've seen a dip in the London market. I probably wouldn't want to invest to do a flip in London unless it was like in a real desirable area, you can get it at the right price. With Brexit there's definitely a lot of uncertainty around what's going to happen in the property market, and no one's really got a crystal ball. But what the government have said is they want stability, right? So I guess we need to see how that unfolds in the next few months. But I think, where kind of things have gone, a bit south for some investors is like the Section 24, the increased stamp duty. I think landlords and investors sometimes get a bad name. But as I said, we see so many property deals come across our desk, and the quality of deals these clients are putting together or packaging for the end user are phenomenal. And the way they're thinking about them and how they can position them in a better light and attract more clients, it is great. They're really kind of pushing the boundaries with their product.
In 2008 it was quite hard to get credit, but we've had a market slowdown, you could say. We've had a good little run as well between 2012 and 2016, but the lenders are keen to lend at the moment.
I mean, it's very liquid, the market at the moment, and we're seeing more lenders come into the market, and we're seeing lenders also widen their criteria. Normally what happens is when there's a lot more demand, then lenders will widen their criteria to get some of that business. So like TMW, for example, they were a limited company lender, and then they come away from limited products. Section 24 happened. A lot of clients now are buying through limited companies, SPVs. TMW back in the market for limited companies. So we're seeing more and more of that.
What I wanted to touch upon, you said that you're not actively looking at your own investment portfolio or your own investment deals at the moment because you're focusing on Ramsay and White. In terms of one of the beauties of working with you, I think personally, is that you are an investor yourself. So you always have your investor hat on when you're looking at a deal.
Absolutely.
Even though you're not actively looking at stuff at the moment.
Yeah.
In the next 5 years or so, being an investor, where do you see yourself going? Is it having a portfolio? Is it having a development business?
Yeah.
Where would you like to see yourself in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I think, as I said, start with the end in mind.
Yeah.
And I've seen some people very close to me do very well in commercial development. So there's been a lot of opportunities that I've seen come to light that do well. So for me, it's good to mix both. So income and cash flow in terms of flips. So for me, after we've systemised Ramsay White and we've got the right team in place, then which we're in the middle of facilitating at the moment, which is quite exciting. We can come on to that in a second. But building like buy-to-lets are solid. Some of the buy-to-lets we've got, we've had tenants in there for like 3 years. They just don't give me any hassle. We do checks on them. They're very house proud.
They are as much of a passive income as you can get with them.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Is property fully passive? Who knows? But at the moment, they're ticking over nicely. Yeah. So I'd like to build on that over a 5-year period, and then I'd like to do bigger flips. We've done that in the past.
Development projects.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where the family is in the background. So I've got the support unit there. We've got the lenders in place that can help facilitate that. So why not? The air seems to be a bit thinner at the top. There's no one really competing at that level.
There's less competition at the top, right?
Exactly.
And from new investors, I'm sure you're going to these meetings and networking, and you come across a lot of the new generation. Having been an investor yourself and started out already, and knowing the current state of the market, what advice would you give to any new starter investors that would be looking to get into the property market? Oh
gosh, that's a good one. If I was to give someone advice as a new starter, I would say, speak to a specialist mortgage broker, speak to a specialist solicitor, speak to a specialist accountant who works in property. Really get your ducks in a row, so they can tell you kind of how to finance deals, how your tax works, and how the transaction process works from a legal side of things. That's just your basics. You need that information. I would then get around property professionals like yourself, Sam, go to these networking events, really just kind of become a sponge and engross yourself in the information that's out there. Because when I first got in property, I was surprised at how many property investors would actually give you information because they want to help you.
They want to help, right? They get tired. They'll probably want to help the next generation.
Exactly. So I would get around these people, learn as much as I can, and then decide what route I want to go down. Because I see so many newbies saying, right, I want to be on a buy-to-let investor, and then next week's like, I'm going to be a HMO investor, I'm going to be a development investor, I'm doing co-living. They're all great strategies, but you need to identify what your skill sets are and which is best placed. If you don't have a skill set to be doing commercial development, but you really want it, then you need to find someone who's in that space and shadow them, be around them. So get your ducks in a row, figure out what you want to do.
Start with the end in mind.
Work backwards, and then once you decide, just go to it. Don't be going to 10 meetings a month when you could be going 2 and working on your business. It's good to stay current with what the information out there, but be consistent, work on your business, give yourself a goal and you want to. And can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
If you're looking to leave your job to be full-time in property, that's amazing, and our hats off to anyone who wants to do that, but just make sure that before you do that you have a plan. I see people quit their job on the Friday, they go to an event on Thursday, they quit their job on Friday, full-time property investor on Monday, trying to get a mortgage, no accounts, and it can be difficult, so start with the end in mind, have a goal. If you're going to be I want to be out of my job in the next 12 months, what do I need to in place? Let me talk you through that process so you can be best prepared. Prepare for success, really. So that's what I'm saying.
I think if you fail to prepare to fail.
That's what I'm looking for.
I agree. There's so many sayings such as you are the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. And if you want to achieve something, you don't need to necessarily invent the wheel again. You just need to emulate other people's success. So I completely agree with that, and that's a similar story to what I've got. And it sounds like you did the same when you wanted to be an estate agent and a mortgage broker. You're surrounded by and a property developer. You wanted to surround yourself by people like that.
But when we first met, you were saying that we're the next generation, in property, and we are, aren't we? There's another generation above us, and we look up up to them, and we take advice from them. But ultimately, we are pushing forward. We are the next generation, so, in our 30s. So it's just actually driving for the next best thing, and how can we create success through giving a product of real value and service. So
absolutely, and property is a marathon, not a sprint. I always remind people of that, older and younger than me, because when they're just starting out, it does take a long time to get to the kind of places that we've managed to get, and we've got a long way to go as well.
Absolutely.
But holding the hand of people that are already going on that journey and can steer you the right way can avoid you making a lot of the mistakes and pitfalls that property can or any investment can offer. So one of the things that I always like to ask is, in terms of the biggest problem, identifying the biggest problem that the UK's got in the housing market, could you identify what the biggest problem that we've got in the UK? We talk about crises all the time. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good question, and I think we've covered a lot of points that I feel that I would say that are probably some of the biggest problems. Obviously, you've got Brexit at the moment, again creating a lot of uncertainty. There's not enough homes in place. Affordability, we're seeing that as a bit of an issue. And again, the landlord's taking a bit of a pounding on Section 24 and the increase in stamp duty. Whether these people should be, the market's changed considerably from 20 years ago. How people like to live, you see all this co-living, but actually people like to live like that. They like to live in this, coming from that university environment, going into the young professionals. They like to be in that product that's good quality. They may even take a smaller room, but the co-living space is fantastic. So you see these developers and these schemes put together that I think are unique, and I believe that that's what people want, especially in these cities. So if they can't get their income up, they're going to live in these places. So the government should be supporting that, and helping developers and investors kind of come up with these creative ways that can attract and help people.
So you very much see the co-living, co-working sector as a solution to the housing crisis.
Absolutely. It's definitely there's many things that we could talk about in terms of the housing crisis, but that's definitely one of them here in the city. Like from renting to buying, in the city, and I've just seen so many different products in the market that I think co-living is, from the investors I've been dealing with, is quite a unique proposition. And it's not exactly new, but it's something that there's the demand for that. So
honestly, Joel, I could talk to you all day. We haven't even touched upon limited companies and Section 24 and how that helps, and how you what kind of lenders we can use for that kind of thing. I could really talk to you all day.
Definitely.
But if somebody wants to get hold of you, we're going to have to wrap up for today. Let us know, how can we get hold of you? Okay, if they want to get hold of me, then my email is joel, joel.white, WHIE, at Ramsay, that's RAMSAY, and white.com. So joel.white at ramsayandwhite.com, or you can look us up on the website, which is ramsayandwhite.com. Are you on Facebook?
Oh yeah, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the social media platforms. So yeah, Joel White, just find me and add me, and we can go from there. Fantastic. Thank you ever so much for joining us today. Cheers. Hope we're going to have you on again. Definitely, 100%. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for joining us. Cheers. All the best, guys. Bye bye.